Statistics tell us that one out of four Americans will likely in their lifetime suffer a bout of anxiety. 1 out of 2 Americans will suffer from some mental disorder, typically anxiety or depression. When I look at rates like that and epidemics like that, I ask a question, which typically goes unasked. Why are we suffering from this epidemic? I believe that anxiety is due, one, to cultural influences. We live in such an insanely intense, competitive culture that it puts great stress on performance, too much reflection on how do I appear? Do I appear like I'm being successful? Am I popular? Am I achieving? Many people can't cope with that level of stress.
One of the dilemmas we have is we all experience what I would call a comfort zone, which in fact may not be all that comfortable, but it's familiar. And picture that comfort zone as a circle. Stepping outside of the circle into the unfamiliar typically creates disquiet, discomfort, anxiety, stress. And that usually becomes the justification for why we don't go there.
Secondly, anxiety often has its roots in childhood experiences, in ways that we were informed by our experiences, by our parents, through their actions or lack of actions. Most importantly, I have developed an approach that would help us understand how we can overcome anxiety, which is fundamentally about our relationship with our thoughts. Our thoughts and the way they operate are what actually create the literal expression of anxiety.
Chaos isn't bad. Uncertainty isn't bad. A free fall full of despair is bad. I'm not proposing that. But only by engaging uncertainty and a little bit of chaos can we come out of the predictability to grow.
There is a theme of fear that predominates anxiety. It sounds like one person is having a monologue with themselves. And in that monologue, they're questioning themselves. Should I do this or should I do that? But if I do that, what will happen? And they slice and dice all possibilities into such infinite amount of degrees that regrettably, you're not really free to be experiencing your life. You're not present because your minds are taking you away from being present. That self-measuring is destructive. In our own internal monologues, when we learn how to witness what our thoughts are telling us, we can learn to become the master of our thinking. We can learn how to turn our mind into our ally. I've developed a procedure whereby we can actually get to see the thought appearing and choose to become or not become that thought. It just requires a nanosecond. But in that nanosecond, you can break free of an entire lifetime's worth of struggle and being stuck in the same old thoughts day in, day out, moment in, moment out. This self-measuring that I'm referring to, I liken it to going to a baseball game. Sometimes when I'm sitting at a ball game, enjoying myself, I'll notice somebody with a scorecard. And their head is down with the scorecard and pencil in hand, notating every play of the game, recording it. And I think to myself, they're missing the beauty and the fun of being at the game because they're notating every activity. A similar thing happens with people who have thoughts that measure everything. The measuring can run the gamut from what will they think, which is a self-esteem issue, or is this a mistake? Fear is correlated to anxiety, very powerfully and very significant.
Do you experience growth? Have anyone experienced growth without fear, pain, loss, struggle, disquiet? I'm hard-pressed to recall anyone ever saying yes.
Much of the root of anxiety comes to us from themes that we are taught, again, in regard to fear. We are taught as a culture, Western culture, industrialized culture, to seek predictability and certainty, to be able to predict the future. Now, we need to do that to a certain extent, but when we do that in an excessive way, we again lose the ability to be present. Now, the universe, we have learned, is altogether uncertain. It's flowing, it's participatory, it's wondrous, it's creative. That's the way the universe operates, and don't forget, we are part of that universe. Now, the challenge is when we separate from that flow, from the perpetual movement, and we try to predict with certainty a future event, we get stuck. We get riddled in fear. We're no longer engaging in the experience of life. Anxiety and overcoming anxiety is in some ways about changing our relationship with fear. Fear is normal. It's a typical experience of human life. It's okay to experience fear. But when you have a very rooted and attached relationship with fear, the fear and the resulting anxiety predominates. So it is also possible to learn how to change your relationship with fear, to let go, to loosen the grip. I'm proposing to you that there are methods and ways to overcome anxiety. We must break the paradigm and the prevailing belief that, one, you have to be medicated for it. No, you don't need to be medicated for it. And in fact, being medicated for it can get in the way, because you come to rely upon the medication to quell the anxiety, and the message you're giving yourself ultimately is, I can't do this on my own without the pill. So you don't need to be medicated, and being medicated may very well be counterproductive to overcoming anxiety. Learning how to turn your thoughts and to turn your mind into being your ally is achievable, and in some ways the greatest self-investment you can make in your lives. I'm urging you to do just that.
If you'd like to learn more about Mel's work or register for an upcoming conference, please visit our blog at www.ashiftofmind.com, like us on Facebook, or you can visit our official website at www.melschwartz.com.